Good evening, sons and daughters of the Most High. This is Chukwemeka again with the Igbo Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, some time ago I did a video on the origin of white skin and the existence of Neanderthals in the scriptures. So today I'm going to do like a follow-up to that particular video. I hope that people must have seen that. If you haven't, please see it so that you understand what this video is about. Today, I'll explain to brothers and sisters why is it that white skin rule the black skin. Okay, I want to explain to brothers and sisters how these Neanderthals, these leaders of the white creatures, how they exert their rule and their influence on mankind, how they are ruling the world. So basically, today I'm going to explain to you why the world we live in is pretty much messed up. This will be the last video I'll do on this subject. I do hope you listen to it very carefully. I will not be doing videos on this subject subsequently anymore. There's no reason, there's no particular reason for that, but I do know that the information I have condensed in the earlier video and this one should be enough to give anyone an understanding of what's going on the planet. Okay, so let's start. First of all, brothers and sisters, Happy New Year. The sun just went down, so the new year has started. If you see my last video, I made it very clear that the Hebrew New Year starts on March 19th. So today is March 18th according to the Gregorian calendar, but the sun just went down. When the sun goes down, a new day starts. So in this particular year, Hebrew year, I want to welcome everyone to the new year, and we thank the Most High for seeing us through. Everyone should get ready for the Feast of Passover, which will happen on the 14th day of the year, which coincidentally is going to be the first day of April. So brothers and sisters, let's start. Have you ever wondered why a small country in Europe will be ruling tons and tons of large countries in Africa or Latin America or Asia or stuff like that? Take for instance one of the smallest countries in Europe, Belgium, is ruling one of the largest and most populated country in Africa, Congo. And they don't only rule Congo, they rule other Africans or African countries as well. Have you ever asked yourself why? Is it in terms of population size? Because in terms of population size, one region alone in Congo is enough to stampede the entire Belgium. How come these people, as small as they are ruling a large country? Take a look at England, for instance. England, as small as it is literally ruling the entire planet, ruling the entire Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, India. In terms of population, we are much larger than them. Their weapons alone can't kill everyone. How come they are ruling us? And I know that some of us will be very myopic and will say, no, the white man has given us independence, we got independence long time ago. Today, I hope to explain to you that there's no such thing as independence. It doesn't exist. There's no independence. So anyway, today let me explain to you how they rule. You see, when the colonial masters came to Africa, they brought one thing, only one thing. After the slave trade capitulated, they came here. During the time of slave trade, they were studying Africa, studying our people, studying what makes us tick and thin. And after that, they came with one thing, only one thing. They didn't come with two things, just one thing. What is that? Secret societies. Brothers and sisters, secret societies, or what they call cults, is the only reason a small nation as small as a corridor in Europe will be ruling entire Africa. Because of secret societies. That's just and nothing more. Now, there are different kinds of secret society. The lower kind of secret society is what they call religion. Christianity, and Islam. Those are the much as in the bottom feeders of secret societies. People who have graduated from this lower form of secret societies, such as your preachers, your bishops, your priests, those who have been initiated into higher orders, they now go into higher form of secret societies, such as in Nigeria we have this Ogboni confraternity, we have this Mame Water spirits, and the military. All these are secret societies. I know most of us have been indoctrinated to believe that cults or secret societies like Ogboni confraternity, or these things that they do, all these secret societies that they do in the universities, such as Black Axe, Vikings, and all those nonsense. We have been indoctrinated to think that these are all Nigerian based, these are all African based, but that's not true. Ogboni confraternity was not established by Nigerians. It was brought here by the white man, and I hope to explain that today. First of all, let's start with religion. If you understand the definition of secret society, it's just the definition of religion. For those of you who are in churches, be it Catholic Church, Redeemed Church of God, Deeper Life, and all those ones, you should ask yourself, where are your leaders? Where the allegiance of your leaders? Where is it? So most of you will think that behind closed doors, your leaders will be praying 20 decades of the rosary or reading the Bible from A to W. That's not true. Those church lead elders, most of them are members of secret societies, and they have that responsibility to control the flock. So what that means is that the Europeans control the preachers, and the preachers control the flock. So whenever any particular regulation is about to pass out to Africans or to any other person in a particular country, it goes through the preachers. That is why you don't see your preachers stand up and tell you any of these things that will open your eyes. All they will tell you is just to keep praying and fasting and Jesus will come. They will never tell you any of these things that will open your eyes. They will never tell you that, look, the vaccine you're giving to your children probably may be the reason why they may grow up and not be able to have children. The medications you're taking, some of them may be responsible for this and that. They will never tell you that. Your preachers will never tell you. Never. But they will tell you that your grandmother is probably chopping you winch. That's why you cannot find a job or something like that. Destroying your family. That's because their job is just to control the flock, and that's what it is. And this cuts across different religions. It's not just one religion, not one church. Whether you're going to Anglican church, Presbyterian church, Episcopalian, Catholic, Redeemed Church of God, Mountain of Fire, these are all one and the same. The next one is cultism. There are different cadres of cultism. First, you have this occult groups that were brought in the universities. One of the prominent, so-called prominent Nigerian professor, celebrity professor anyway, was responsible for bringing in cultism into Nigerian schools. This is somebody, and I won't mention his name, anybody who is listening to this know who I'm talking about. This is somebody that was failing in his class, a complete dunce according to his teachers. And today he sits down to be one of the so-called elder statesmen. Because he brought in cultism into Nigerian universities. And what has that cult done to Nigerian youths? You see, you cannot be politically active in the universities, in the student union organizations, or even in your state legislation without being a member of a cult. You can't go very far in the political arena without being a member of a cult. What that means is that those who are going to lead your country will be initiated into this cult as early as when they're in school. And when you are in cult, brothers and sisters, when you are a member of a cult, you cannot be independent. There is no such thing as independence on your part, and there is no such thing as independence on the part of the people you lead. For instance, let me give you an example. If you and your wife have a child and that child is running temperature, and you put the child in the car, you want to take the child to the hospital, and just about you're about driving out of your house, you get a call from your cult members, and they say they need you in Lagos, or maybe they need you in Abuja immediately. Immediately. Do you know what you will do, brother and sister? You will tell your wife to drive the child to the hospital while you go to Lagos or Abuja to answer the call from your cult. That's exactly what happens. You cannot have independent thinking as a member of any of these organizations. Never. You cannot be your own self. That is how the cults are designed. When you are a member of this cult, you see them as your brothers. Every other person in the world, even if that person is your father or your mother, is no longer seen as your brother by you. That is how these things are designed. So the people that brought it into this country, those people were rewarded with some very questionable Nobel Prizes. And then now these things are used to funnel the leadership of our country. That is why all over Africa, everybody is crying that how come our politicians can't develop our countries? How come our politicians will be stealing money? They will be doing this. They can't build road. They can't create job. They can't. Look, our politicians are, I'm not making an excuse for your politicians, okay? But your politicians are not stupid. They know that they have to do these things, and it doesn't cost money to do these things. But they won't do it. Why? Because the people that they report to does not want them to do it. Most of you think that your politicians actually lead your country, actually rule over your country. But that's not correct. Your politicians are public relations agents. That's all. They relate with the public. The laws of your country are written by those who control the cults your politicians are members of. As a continent, Africa is ruled by members of this cult. That's why you see a small country like France controlling half of the entire continent. A small country like England controlling the other half. That's why you see that going on. Okay. Because we have been deceived to be members of cults. We went and joined out of curiosity. And that's why our world is going to hell in a handbasket. Now, this occultic membership and the relation of duties by our politicians, it didn't start today. If you read the book, the name of the book is called Remarks of the Country Existing from Cape Palmas to the River Congo. If you read that book, when they talked about different sections in the whole of West Africa, from Cape Palmas to River Congo, and when they talked about Niger Delta, they talked specifically about Warri in that book, and they mentioned that the king of Warri had already had interaction with King George of England. That means he has of course either been knighted or been initiated in some cult. And so whenever white people come to Africa, he will supply King George will send them silk or clothing or whatever, and then he will supply them with slaves, and he usually asks them, how is brother George? That thing, when I read it, that thing stood out to me. You see, when you are a member of a particular cult, you refer to other members as your brothers. You see them as brothers. So right now, this so-called king of Warri has been initiated into a cult that he now sees King George of England as his brother, and he was willing to sell his own people to slavery to King George. It is the same thing that is going on now. If we elect a president, a governor, or anything, the first thing he does is to go straight to England to get his marching orders, or go straight to Washington to get his marching orders. And there, they will tell him who to appoint for this and who not to appoint for this. And that is how our country is still being ruled by these people. And that is how they funnel the works of the people of the land. I mean, I've been engaging in arguments with some people who say that black people are completely useless, black people are this and that. Look, if you don't understand how this world runs, you think that nations are independent and so they are just useless, they don't know how to develop their countries. That's because you don't understand the way the world runs. The world does not run on what you see in the surface. It runs through secret societies. That's how the world runs. That's how cultism is used to rule a people. Those who control the cults, who are basically the people that you call Zionists, they are the ones that control the countries ruled by their members. And virtually every country in the planet is ruled by their members. Virtually every politician. So the cultism they brought to Nigerian schools in the 70s is not only in Nigerian schools. Those fraternities are in every other school, and you can't be a ruler, a president, a top politician without being a member of these fraternities. You just can't be. That's the way it's designed. Another way it's designed, another way that these people rule us is through, like I've mentioned, other lesser form of cults. Not only the ones you have in schools, not only big ones like you have like Ogboni confraternity. Brothers and sisters, we've been deceived to think that Ogboni confraternity is just what is obtainable in the Edo part of Nigeria, but that's not correct. It was brought here by the Portuguese. Okay, it's an affiliation of the Freemason cult. It was brought here by the Portuguese. Anyway, not only is that, when virtually every clandestine activity was brought here by the colonial masters. Another example I want to give is witchcraft. Most people think that Africans are just witchcraft, juju people, all those things. There's a big difference between voodoo or doing juju, voodoo, and witchcraft. There's a very big difference between these things. Very big difference. In fact, if you read the Bible very well, it's very clear. There are a big difference between them. Witchcraft was not originally an African thing. Africans don't know anything about it. In fact, Africans had solutions for it until Christianity made us ignore those solutions. And so the witches actually gained ground. It's a European thing. It was brought here by the Europeans. Let me give you an example. In Nigeria, for instance, there are two areas that are well known as hotbeds for witchcraft activities. Now, this does not mean that these are the only places where you have witches. No, it's just that they are well known. And these are the Calabar, and with all due respect to anybody that comes from the area, the Calabar area and the Edo area are well known for witchcraft activities. What do these two places have in common? They are the places where the white man settled when he came to Nigeria. The Portuguese settled in Benin Kingdom, while the British settled in Calabar. It's then that they brought witchcraft to us. Witchcraft was alien to Africa before these people came here. That's why the words, all African tribes, the words we have for witchcraft, they are borrowed words. We don't even have words for witchcraft. It's important that you know that. You know that this is how our nations were taken over by the Europeans. This is why our continent is still underdeveloped, and will continue until we realize and make a U-turn. Now, another way that secret society that they brought here is the lesser form of secret society, which is basically targeting the youths. The youths is what they call the Obanje Mame Wata secret society. First of all, Mame Wata spirit has nothing to do with African. It's not African in origin. It was brought here by the Europeans. Mame Wata is not a black woman. It's a white woman. It's a Caucasian. For those of if you have discussed with anyone who was involved with this Mame Wata spirit, Mame Wata is not black, it's a white person. So Mame Wata spirit was actually brought here by the Europeans, and it is very prevalent in those areas where Europeans settled when they came to Africa. That's where it is prevalent, and from there it is spreading all over the place. From these areas where the Europeans settled, that's why it's from there that it's spreading. So we've been stupid enough to think that these people brought in Christianity to us only. No, Christianity is one of the least things that they brought. They brought in these cults. Is the main thing that they brought here was the cults. And Christianity is something that was paving the way for these calls to be effective in our society. If you study the influence of Christianity in our society, you find that it's paving the way for these calls to be effective. Brothers and sisters, please go and read a book written by a lady called Nosifo Majeke. The book is out of print now. The name of the book is called The Role of the Missionary in Conquest. That book was written by a white woman, not even a black woman. You see, I've made this very clear. It's not only every white person you see out there. There are some white people that understand the trick that's been played on us, and they were trying to inform us early enough. This one was an Irish woman who joined the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, and she wrote a book called The Role of the Missionary in Conquest. That book, you can find PDF copies of that book online today. Please just go and read. It's a very small book. Read it to understand what these people brought in. They didn't bring Christianity alone. They brought in the cultism. These cults, these secret societies, they brought it here. They used a whole lot of magical powers on us. Christianity was used to pave the way for these things to be effective. Okay, an example of that is, for instance, that in Igbo we used to have something that is called Ogwamosu, which is the cure for witchcraft. If you are being infested with witchcraft, or you're having this is it sleep depression, where you have witchcraft infecting you in your sleep and everything, you just go and meet one of the Levites, and they will give you a particular herb that will cure that. But Christianity have told us that these people are juju people, that we shouldn't go and meet them. And now we have basically lost the cure for this. So that by Christianity would deceive us not to go to our Levitical priest for cure for any of this evil that is being brought by the white man in our society. That's how Christianity softened us, preventing us from looking at a solution that has been available to us. Most of the things that are written in the Bible, the animal sacrifices and all those ones, if someone is doing it today and you go and see that person doing it, worshiping the God of Abraham the way the Bible said we should worship, if you see the person today, you will say the person is doing voodoo. That's because Christianity has told you that when somebody is doing animal sacrifice, that is voodoo. That instead you should close your eye and pray for Jesus to come. That's how Christianity permeated our culture and made us pliable to the destruction that was being rolled in by these people. Brothers and sisters, it's not Christianity only that they brought here. Christianity is the least thing on their mind. The major thing that they brought here was the cultism. And if you study the origin of this cult, I mean, if you're in the university, you hear that Black Axe is fighting White Axe, White Axe is fighting Vikings, Vikings is fighting Buccaneers, all those, they're killing lots, and we lost, and we are still losing lots and lots of our children to these nefarious societies. And the reason that is, we don't know that all these cults are one. All of them are ruled by the same people. The very same people that rule one of them is the same people that rule the other ones. We are too stupid to realize that. And if you look at all these cults, they say they don't worship African gods, they worship the gods of Europe. As European as the gods can get, they worship the gods of the Vikings. And I know most of you that are part of this cult thing, they will say, no, it's just boys being boys, coming together to drink palm wine and sing and dance. No, that's not true. This is a very serious form of worship. It is when you go higher in the cult, and you go higher and you become substantial in terms of political arena, that you will now be initiated into maybe some form of Freemasonry. And when you are in this cult, like I've said earlier, you can't be independent. You cannot be a man of yourself. You will do what you're told. You think the politicians, they want to retire in America? You think your politicians you have here in Nigeria, they want to retire in America? You think they want to retire in England? No, they don't want to be paying high taxes and everything there in England. They want to retire here in Nigeria because Nigeria is far better. But they can't make Nigeria any better than what they are told to do. They can't do that. If they go to any of their meetings and they are told to devalue Nigerian currency, they will devalue Nigerian currency. And it doesn't matter what you think. If they are told to print 5,000 naira notes, they will print 5,000 naira notes. It doesn't matter what you think. Because your nation is not being ruled by you. It's being ruled by those who control the political process through which your leaders emerge. That's how they rule us. It's not that we are stupid. It's that we do not understand that we don't fight against flesh and blood. We do not understand that this is not flesh and blood. This is a supernatural process, a supernatural entity that has declared war on us. We don't understand that. We think we are just dealing with a fellow human being. These people are eternal. They live forever. That's why their agenda continues forever. They don't die. The fact that one of them dies does not mean that their agenda is dead. It continues forever. So, brothers and sisters, that's how these things operate. I mean, if you are a member of this cult, you must be actively working. There's no rest for you, no vacation, nothing. You must be working to destroy the creatures of God actively. And if you look at them, I mean, if you've gotten to a level where you see these things play out, you see that these people don't rest. I mean, look at the people, for instance, in the entertainment industry. Every day they are working, doing everything to derail the minds of children. Those people, if you are listening to, I don't know, Nicki Minaj, or looking at her backside or whatever, which is totally ridiculous anyway. If you are looking at that, you won't have time to think about how your world is being run. Look at shows that are coming up all over Africa. I mean, they are making them as nude as they can be. Look at the Nollywood, the fields that they call Nollywood. Look at the Big Brother Nigeria, which is not even made in Nigeria anyway. Look at how they are destroying the minds of our people. Our people are voting, spending money to support a show that will destroy the morality of our generation. Think about that. And you think these people are just making it for money? No, they're not making it for money. They will make money in the process, of course. But they are doing it to destroy the morality of our people, to make sure that there's nothing in this world for the Most High to consider saving. And this is what they are to do. Most of the people that bring you these things are members of the occult. Most of them. Most of the people that bring you this music, or this Hollywood and Nollywood, Madison Avenue, whatever they call themselves, these are members of cults. Most of them are proponents of homosexual behavior, and they push this thing on our children on a daily basis. So this is what they are told to do in cults. Most of them were not born homosexuals, but they have been told to do this. They have been told to practice bestiality and push it in society, and they are going to do it. And you wonder why your politicians cannot build one road or bring drinking water or this. No, they can do those things. It's very cheap to do any of these things. It's not expensive. They can do it. But they are under orders not to do it, because these people will have to direct what nation develops and what nation does not develop. They have to control what happens in every nation. So you need to understand that this is what's going on, and we need to understand that if we are going to overturn this, that it is the depth, that the basic process through which we elect our leaders need to change. We need to hold people with high morality at high esteem, not because our pastor says so or pastor says the other. If you, brothers and sisters, pay attention to this, if you worship a God that will not let you tell the truth, you are worshiping the devil. If you're scared that telling the truth, your God will punish you for telling the truth, that God is the devil himself. Just be aware of that. If you're scared of saying that you are a child of Jacob, despite the proof you see, and you're scared of saying that because you don't want to hurt the feelings of your white Jesus, just know that you are worshiping the devil. Any God that will not let you tell the truth is not God. Is not the Most High. Is not the creator of this planet, because this planet runs on truth. The laws of the Most High is everlasting, and it is true and just. So, brothers and sisters, how do we counter this? First of all, we have to realize that this is why our world is going berserk. This is why Africa is still underdeveloped, and we remain so. So, first of all, on a personal level, you have to make an effort not to associate yourself with people who are part of this cult. Number two, if you are part of this cult, you need to come out of it. You need to realize that not only are you selling the lands of your ancestors, you are devaluing, you are also destroying the work of the Creator. And the Creator will not be very happy about that. I can assure you that. So you need to come out of this cult. We need to know members, we need to elect politicians that are not subject to this cult. So there are leaders out there who can stand up against. And we need to find those leaders and we need to back them and encourage them. And we need to make up our mind that we have to be against this. That it's only when we do this that our continent will start developing. I mean, we can debate who is this, whether it's the Igbos are fighting the Hausas are fighting Yorubas. We can debate that from now till next week. It won't change anything until we realize that these cults that we are part of, these religions that we are supporting, these churches that we are going to and supporting their cultic pastors, that they are doing more harm to us than good. If we do not realize that, nothing is going to change. We have to pray for the Creator to find us worthy to save us on this planet. A lot of people may think that their plan is so effective, it's solid as rock and everything. No, it's not. If you have been studying these things, you see in so many situations where these plans have been derailed. So it's not something for anyone to lose faith in. The Most High created this world. He is still in charge of this world. He's still in charge. It doesn't matter what happened. He is still in charge. So I want to put this out there. I won't be doing these videos in the future. I think I've actually given enough information to brothers and sisters to understand why our world is the way it is, who rules the world, and how the world is being run. I also hope because some people have been saying that black people are worthless, this, that. I have no reason to be annoyed with anybody for saying that, but I do think that if people understand how this world was designed and how this world is being run, they will understand why the way it is. And may the Most High of Majesty, the Creator of heaven and earth, save His people in His most blessed name. So,